Data are units of information, usually numerical, that are collected through observation. Data collection is a process of gathering information from different sources in order to answer or solve a particular study. Sometimes the data collected are used by someone to conclude an answer to a relevant question. The data gathered are classified into two types, the primary data and secondary data. Primary data is a type of information that is collected directly from the first-hand source through experiments, surveys, or observation, while secondary data is collected by someone other than the actual user. So these are some examples. If you want to collect primary data, it can be done through statistical methods, surveys, polls, interview, Delphi technique, or focus groups. While secondary data, these data can be taken from the reports, from the mission, from the vision statement, from the internet. It can be from the books or journals. For example, you want to get information from Albert Einstein. So of course, it is impossible to interview him. So you will resort to the data that are available. And those data can be taken from the books, from the journal, even from the internet. So those data are called secondary data because those data are already available. Under the primary data, we have what we call quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative data are composed of numbers representing counts and measurements, while qualitative data are divided into distinct categories that are distinguished by some non-numeric characteristics. So, for example, if the expected answer that you are taking from your respondents are non-numeric, like for example, you want to know about the gender, the expected answers are male or female, or it can be boy or girl, so they are non-numeric. So this is an example of qualitative data. While if we want to know about the age, so the expected answers are in the form of numbers. For example, 5 years old, 7.5 years old, or 10 years old, etc. So quali, categorical, quanti, numerical. In collecting data, these are some common methods. One is the interview method. It is a method of collecting data through verbal responses. So it can be done by personal interview or through phone call. While a questionnaire method, it is a method of collecting data through sets of questions which may be given in printed or it can be an electronic copy. So it is an example of a Likert scale questionnaire test. So for example, you have or you own a restaurant and you want to know the performance of your restaurant, so you can randomly give this to your customer for them to answer. So notice that it is so easy to answer. They will just simply check according to their preferences. So the characteristic of a good questionnaire is it should not be too long or too detailed, because no one wants to answer your questionnaire if it is too long and too tasky to do. The easier, the better. But it must also be logical and sequential. Observation method is a method done by carefully and systematically watching of facts as they occur in course of nature. So usually, the researcher focus more in observation method. They focus more on human behavior, relations and interactions related to phenomenon.